Today we have Donny Hackett. We get into what he has created. He's launching this right now. It's a SaaS program. I am interested in how it goes. I ask him some hard questions, and you may or may not like the software that he made, but I want you to pay attention to how he arrived at the decision to make this, how he decided how to partner up, how to allocate responsibilities, and how he's going about launching the app. Okay. I hope it's a big success. But there's no guarantee, right? But he's the man in the arena, right? I'm watching a Teddy Roosevelt. It's like a 3 hour thing on where am I? I don't even know. Amazon Prime, maybe it could be Netflix. I think Amazon Prime, but it's a History Channel, and good story. But he talked about being the man in the arena. The critic doesn't matter, right? Who is jumping in and making things happen? And so Donnie and his partner, they're young families, and man, I've been there, done that. I've jumped into deals, but for me, it was back in the day. I didn't have ownership. I invested in real estate. I invested in apartment complexes. I invested in a retail thing, wine and cigar store. And never had true control, right? Once I began investing in myself, things turned around. Now, I've still got investments with others that I now trust, right? But I've got my fingers on those. But I remember 2006, it was the end of '05, and I've told this story, but the class, end of '05, I signed up for the course. It started in early '06. It was a 12-week teleclass back then. No social media, no video calls, no private groups for 24/7 chat with other members. It was a PDF and phone calls, and it was $600. And Steve Clark took a liking to me, gave me a one-on-one assistance because things just weren't clicking. And I see this all the time. It happens to me in jiu-jitsu. It's always a very simple solution, something that has literally stifled me for months, and the solution's always simple. But it's simple to someone with experience. The old joke. It's not a joke. It's a true story, right? A big refinery, and of course it's blown out of proportion to make an impact, but oil refinery or whatever, it's backed up, nothing's coming out, and they're losing millions of dollars an hour, and it could back up and destroy the whole oil refinery, billions of dollars. And like, who can we call? And, call Joe. He was the old engineer that built it. Joe comes out of retirement. He drives up, got a hammer in his hand. He walks along all the lines. He listens. He says, yeah, right about here. Or, he's walking around. He says, go get my hammer. Right. Boy runs, gets his hammer, and whack, he hits the hammer, and boom, everything releases. It's all fine. He sends him the bill the next day, for whatever amount, $27,011. They're like, $27,011 for one hit with the hammer. I mean, you were here 10 minutes. He said, yeah, it was just one hit of the hammer, and it was just 10 minutes. So, for my time and swinging the hammer, that's the $11. But knowing where to hit, that's the $27,000. And, the older you get and the more things you do, you realize how much truth is in that. Guys that I trained with, second and third degree black belts. My professor, he's a 5th degree black belt. These guys have been black belts longer than I've trained. My professor, he's, good grief, he's been a black belt, 2 or 3 times longer than I've trained. And so the solution is always simple. It's an easy application, an easy adjustment of a grip, of your foot, of a knee, of an elbow, your head, right? Takedowns, we'll use our head. Well, pinning guys will, and it matters, do you pin your head, pin them down with the right side of your head or the left side of your head? Well, it depends, or you're looking at them or you're looking away. Usually you want to look away from them, but sometimes you want to look at them. So who do you have in your corner, right, helping you make those decisions, those split-second decisions? And I've told the story before, and I had it on the 12 Weeks to Peak website for a while, but it's like getting a spotter at the gym. When I was in high school, my good friend, he ended up playing linebacker at TCU, and he had a gym in his garage. His dad had built it. And so we could work out there literally 24/7, and we did. And my sister was in town, and I'm 17 and she's 14, and I was a big strong kid, and I was bench pressing. I said, "Hey, give me a spot." She looked at the weight. She said, "I can't lift that weight." And it's like, "I don't need you to lift this weight. What I need you to do is keep an eye on me, and when I kind of nod or grunt or yell or whatever, you know, give me a little bit of help." Because like with anything, right? When you're working out, you get a few reps in just to get kind of warmed up, and you add some weight, do a few more, add some weight, do some more, and maybe lift to failure. If you got a good spotter, you can lift to failure a couple of times. They will lift more, but for just that one spot, you know, after 5 sets of 10, right? Those last two or three, and with her, I think is really just good into that last one. Like, just give me 5 or 10 pounds of assistance. Just get me through that sticking point, and I can finish. And knowing that I had a spotter gave me the confidence to even A, do the exercise, and B, go up that heavy. So when you've got a good mentor on speed dial, and that I ended up doing that with Steve. I was taking this class. He gave me some extra time, which he did not have to. And I hired him for $10,000 to be a licensee of his content and be mentored by him. And that was for a year. And then I had to start paying monthly, $1,000 a month after that. Who's in your corner, right? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who can you bounce ideas off of at all hours of the day and night? And that's where I've created 12 Weeks to Peak program. So I did some little switcheroo, little change up. It's been a couple of weeks since I've posted a podcast, and I'm deep in the weeds and a lot of stuff. AI, how can the average person use it? There's so much noise and hype, and I hate that. So I'm not going to talk about something until I understand it, the real application of it, and starting to wrap my brain around it. Got a new microphone, so trying to keep up in the game, right? Step things up, and moving the website. So I'm looking at how to streamline everything, optimize, expand the reach. It's such a pivotal moment right now in time. I feel like this is web whatever 3 or 4.0. I guess web 1 was the beginning, then Windows 95 and whatnot. Maybe that was web 2.0, and then blogging and whatnot. Maybe that was 3.0. And I know people say different stuff, but then so high speed smartphones, high speed cellular, that changed the game. Social media changed the game, and now AI is changing the game. So whatever iteration you want to call this, web 3, web 7, we're in a big change right now. And so what do I do? How do I stand apart? How do I bring you value? Fortunately, it's still humans selling to humans. People talk about you have to have a good prompt. You have to have a good prompt. It's like these hacks online saying you've got to be a good storyteller to grow your sales. It's like saying in golf, you've got to be able to hit both a 320-yard draw and a 318-yard high fade if you want to make it in the pros. Okay, it's easier said than done, right? Because golf, right? You hit it down the middle, hit it close to the pin, have an easy putt. There you go. You have everything you need to know about golf. That's how these people are. Just say you need to have good prompts. It's true, but what does that mean? What does it mean in sales? What does it mean as an engineer? What does it mean in your processes? And so I guess in a way, I'm like Apple, right? I always say Apple hadn't invented all that many things. Look at the iPhone. They didn't invent cellular phones, smartphones. They saw something that was used widely. They saw something that was implemented poorly, and they made it a lot better. Oh, and I got this turned back on. It got turned off somehow. I don't know if you heard that or not. Let me know if you heard that. But I've got my voice back on my computer every 15 minutes telling me what time it is. And I got my watch charging, but I usually have my watch set to a 15-minute timer. I just keep hitting repeat just to remind me to be cognizant, to be aware, to be efficient with my time. But I digress. But maybe I don't. Because again, tying all that in, right? going back to what do you do? How do you stand out? Where do you add value? And, I'm not inventing anything. I'm helping good people be efficient, be effective, be smart. Years ago, I'll see if I can find it real quick. I made a post on predictive text on iPhones, and Androids do it too. But I use an iPhone, and most people don't use those, right? So the very first thing when I reboot my computer, because Apple and Google, are always at odds. Apple's native predictive text tools don't always work in Chrome. So I bought an app called Text Expander. So the very first thing I do is make sure that is turned on. I kid you not. I have hundreds of short codes, snippets. They're called in HubSpot. They're called snippets, but most people don't use those, right? So now you have AI with these agents and automations and LLMs and all this stuff. People still have 12 o'clock blinking on their VCRs. People still have VCRs. So there's an opportunity there to leverage AI. And I see it kind of in the same light. I was just texting my son who's in high tech. It feels like 2008 when I ran across Infusionsoft. And people love to poo-poo on Infusionsoft, but back in 2008, nobody was tying together so many tools and automating them for that price point. That's why they had such a good run. Now, they didn't iterate, they didn't evolve, they drank their own Kool-Aid, believed in their own press. The market changed, the financial collapse hit in 08, 09. That kind of hurt them, and they just never really recovered, and they got sold last year, rebranded a few years ago. But regardless, I finally see the light here on how the average person, the small business owner, can leverage AI. So I'll be talking more about that just to give you cool ideas. I'm building some myself. I'll sell them. I sell some Infusionsoft campaigns. I've sold those since 2012. Pre-built campaigns, but you can do the same with AI. So anyway, that's what I've been working on, trying to streamline things. I don't like just doing mindless work. My friend years ago, his wife got offended, but I took it as a compliment. He said, I'm going to go ask Wes how to do things. He's lazy. Oh, you can't say that. He's like, well, no, it's a good thing. But he's right. It's like I'll work 100 hours to figure out how to not work 2 hours. So if it takes that amount of time to figure out a way to get rid of a stupid 2-hour task, I will double down on that until I figure it out. And so I think I'm starting to have that breakthrough with AI. And again, my super smart son, he's like, oh, I don't see how that'll work. And, it's changing too fast. I'm like, I always solved very small problems, very small, persistent, nagging problems for my clients with Infusionsoft and Entreport and ActiveCampaign and HubSpot. Because once the nagging stuff is done, A, you're not being nagged anymore, at least not with the stupid stuff. And B, it frees up your time, but it also frees up your focus, your energy, your desire, your motivation to then tackle bigger things with these tools. Because these tools, HubSpot, Infusionsoft, whatever, can be super powerful. These AI tools can be super powerful, but everybody, the geeks, the bleeding edge people, they try to solve just these humongous problems that the average person either doesn't have or will never understand. Or it'll take too long. And by the time they understand that the model has changed, new tools come out, pricing collapses. So, these techies, they're right, but they're early. And it's about as bad. It may even be worse than being late because they're investing their time and their energy and their hope, and it doesn't monetize for them. So anyway, big long intro, but Donnie's a good guy. He's got his heart in this project. He is in sales. He is working on a thing to help salespeople, help recruiters, help those who are hiring, and help the good, honest salespeople prove that they're good and honest and effective. Because a lot of salespeople are liars. People lie on their resume. And we talk about that. All right. So buckle up for that. If you're looking for some mentoring, check out 12 Weeks to Peak. Something about the change. So 12 Weeks to Peak goes to the VIP page now where there's nothing for sale. You got to book a time and we'll talk to see if the program is right for you. But at the very top, there's a link to the free habit tracker. Okay, so get that if you so desire. 12weekstopeak.com. That's what I'm working on. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Now get ready for this interview with Donny. Donny Hackett, founder of VeriDeal, Truth in Deals. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
Thank you very much. I'm very excited. Very excited.
So are you saying people lie in sales? Why do I need truth in deals, man? Aren't they all just open and honest and everybody loves salespeople. They just embrace them and send
Everyone
them
loves
fruit baskets
salespeople.
at Christmas. I mean, I get fruit baskets at Christmas every year. I mean, that's just
Exactly.
maybe I'm unique.
All the good fruit baskets, right?
I get the old leftover. I think there's only one fruitcake in the world, and it just gets passed around and regifted to everybody.
And it's magic. It's like the 1990s McDonald's fries. They never grow a mold or anything.
Oh, man. Truth in Deals. VeriDeal is building the first platform for sales reps to publicly track and verify your closed won deals. All right. So we were chatting about this, and I see a lot of upside to this. I see a lot of downside to this. So let's dive into it. But like, what's your background? Why are you doing this? Or were you in SaaS sales?
Sure. Yep. So started off my career in the Coast Guard, and then leaving the military. Coast Guard. Yep.
Okay.
It's
almost as good as the Air Force, but hey, I mean, you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. The Chair Force is good too, right?
Damn. Yep. Oh, I think there's solar flares. Yeah, we're going to have to end this podcast.
So so after the military, I quickly I knew I was built for sales. And so I went into sales right away. I started actually in wine sales, door to door in Washington, D.C.
Door to door selling to businesses?
Businesses, but I was on the street selling to, it was a zero.
I mean, that would probably work. So many stay-at-home people now, you just walk up with a case of wine, you probably sell it door to door.
That's actually a really good point. There's plenty of people working from home.
Better than solar. Like, good grief. People knock on my door. I'm like, dude, look, I got solar. Why? Okay, anyway.
Exactly. Yep. So that's where I started. Cut my teeth in DC doing that. And then, quickly transition within the wine career from wine sales rep for DC. And then I managed about 8 states for import, export, wine, marketing, P&L, and all that fun stuff. So COVID happened. First son was born. And then I wanted to kind of make a change. And so I went into tech sales. So first was telecom. So I worked for telecom for about 2 years, and then I went to AWS. And then I was a part of their, 23,000 layoffs, and then went back to telecom, and now back into cloud space sales. About 10 plus years of sales experience by now.
So what led to this? Was it in like your transition, like trying to get hired and rehired? Were people doubting your resume, or like, walk me through that?
Sure. So after being laid off from AWS, I quickly took a very, large step backwards. And I realized that I was one of 5,000 people in sales that was laid off from AWS. And then you look at how many open positions there are in the market, and there was a couple hundred. And then on top of that, within the past 6 months of that time frame, there was another couple 100,000 sales reps laid off. So very quickly, I realized if you want to stand out, you have to be very good and very unique and very connected. Right. So I did everything that you're supposed to back then, right? You have an awesome resume, you reach out to your network, and on top of that, you make videos. You send them to the CRO of companies. You do some creative stuff. You write handwritten notes to hiring managers, like, give me a shot, right? Doing what salespeople should do, right? be unique, stand out, try to get noticed. Um, so that's when I quickly realized that there might be an alternative to the hiring process and the
Hmm.
search process as well. So over the past 18 months or more, I've been thinking about VeriDeal and how to bring this to market. So now I feel confident in our solution, which is being able to provide people that are looking for the next job or the next promotion to be able to showcase their abilities in a career portfolio, public facing.
Hmm. Well, if I'm playing devil's advocate, I'd say, well, I'm good enough. You got hired without VeriDeal. The good ones, the cream's going to rise to the top. Besides, it's who you know, right? When you know somebody, they just know you're good. They don't need to see some verified list deal.
Mm-hmm. Sure. How do you know how much it costs to hire the wrong person?
A lot.
A lot of money.
Hey, most hiring managers are not very good. Okay. Most sales managers don't have sales management training, right? They were plucked from, they're probably the top salesperson, so now they become manager. Now blah blah blah. They
Right.
get they get a quick lesson on how to run some reports in Salesforce as the manager,
Right.
and how to approve expenses, and they're kicked out the door.
Right.
Um, and and then they don't know how to interview, but they still have to do it. So yeah, they're terrible,
Mhm.
but they don't think they're terrible.
I'm
That's
not
the
going there.
gotcha.
I'm not going there. So
So
so the reason why I bring that up is because I believe it was Ryan Walsh, RepView CEO, right? Great company, showcasing kind of what people are making in the market today. But he also showed how much it costs for not only the sales team, but the company in large, how much it costs to hire wrong.
yeah.
I was having a conversation about 2, 3 months ago now with a VP of sales, and um, he said that he hired someone, and it was based off of his network, and the network said two thumbs up all across the board. So he offered, and this was a big hire because it cost a lot of money. And about 3 months into the job, he said he had to let this person go. And the reason was it didn't match up. The recommendations from his own network, from his personal friends, did not match up to the performance that this person was doing.
Hmm.
And it was attuned to close to $1 million that this person, roughly cost this company. So when you're talking about, you know, yes, there's LinkedIn, there's your resume, but then can you actually show and prove what your resume says? Can you prove and give your network confidence when they go out and vouch for you? VeriDeal will be able to help with that because you can just point and look, this is what happened. This is what I've done. Um, just like in the military, it's always about not what you did yesterday. It's what can you do tomorrow? And this is what I've done in my past.
Right.
Yeah.
So his network, were they not clients? Were they just friends? Like how he
Former
had to be
colleagues.
producing for somebody, right?
Yep. So from the story that I do understand, it is, former colleagues and friends, um,
But not
and
customers.
not customers. And so these are, who you would want to tell the truth about, right? And unfortunately, they were telling a version of the truth to help a person.
Hmm. So couldn't I just get my clients to verify me, give me a recommendation on LinkedIn, and say, hey, Wes has been our account rep for 3 years and he's the best account rep, at ABC company. And we love working with Wes. Why do I need a third party, another third party tool to do this?
Sure, you can do that, but no one does. No one wants to. That's why VeriDeal, and on top of that, the the way that we're building it is going to build it in a way that is sales focused and not, I guess, corporate focused. So what I mean by that is allowing yourself to verify it, right? And then you're going to also be able to see um, real time how you stack rank against other people within this platform, within your industry, whether it's SMB, mid market, or enterprise as well.
Will that, let's say, there's Joe Smith, right? And he's at AWS. Would that give me competitive information? Like, could I reverse engineer it and see where Joe Smith is selling into and go target his accounts?
Sure. So, no, there's going to be zero public facing competitive knowledge. So, when you log a deal, you have the option to either publicly show or not, how much revenue it was in that deal. But then on top of that, when you go get it verified by the customer, that data will never be shown to the public. And so there's going to be levels of security. That way, competitors can't poach and figure out, okay, you just sold this deal to this
Right.
company. Let me go undercut you. That's
Right.
not going to happen at all.
What if I'm selling to the government, and these are all top secret NDAs? If I'm selling, I'm here in Southern California and I sell to the Border Patrol.
Mhm.
Um, like my brother-in-law does construction. He's done work for the Border Patrol. And he's done stuff like, put new cabinets and stuff in the processing center or whatever. So it's not like top secret stuff, but still it may not be
Right.
released. So what do you do in those cases?
We are not going to do government sales. So sorry
Okay.
for everyone doing government sales. We do not want to cross that line. So
All right.
yeah, we don't want to be FedRAMP or any of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and like you, I was in tech, and I was in the test and measurement space for telecom and for data centers, and Google was a big client.
Hmm.
And dude, they were so secretive. It's like I worked for an international company, and they would buy units, and we could have shipped them straight to their data centers, but they had everything shipped to them in Mountain View, and then they would ship because they didn't even want their data center addresses known.
Hmm.
Um, and I got to know these people really well. And are they going to verify anything?
Right.
So, does the name have to be on it? Would it have to be, Joe Smith, director of data center operations, Google?
Yeah. So for your specific use case, it would be up to that client, right? If let's say Google wants to be a part of it, 100%, we'll love to that. But we also understand that they need secrecy and they need verified protection. So,
Right.
luckily, my business partner, CTO, he's spent the past 20, 25 years in building top secret programs within the United States Army and then, agencies across different companies as well. So he understands the need for security and how to build that. So we are covering as much as we can over there, but we also understand and realize that when we get to a certain level of deal, secrecy is really crucial. So,
Right.
um, you know, maybe this might not be for those level of sales reps right now. In the future, maybe, but right now, maybe those are not the targeted sales reps that we're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how did you go about doing this? Um, was this your idea and you found the CTO? Are you bootstrapping this? Like, who was your
Yeah.
first hire?
Yeah. So this is 100% bootstrap, which is another fun topic and a lot of fun stuff to do. A really good friend of ours was over one day. I was telling her about the idea and she mentioned um, one of her really good friends. So we connected and we hit it off real fast. So His name's Jason. He and I have been working together for the past 2.5 months. He's been on the dev side, and so he's been fantastic.
So, I mean, did he partner with you, or did
Yes.
you have to? Okay, so he
Yep.
agreed, and like, how do you draw up a budget? How do you like? Did y'all do the work? Did you find
Sweat
somebody,
equity.
on Upwork, a VA to start coding? Like, what's the first step?
The first step is sweat equity. We both knew that we could handle work, given our history, right? So he's taken upon himself to build the application on the web and everything like that, and handle it from the security standpoint, because that's the number one, metric that I said was, one is security, and two, keep it as simple as possible, because
Yes,
that is so crucial, to
right.
me and himself. So, um, but that's pretty much it. And then for my side, doing all the marketing, sales, business
Right.
development, you name it, I'm doing it. So it's been a crash course in a lot of different areas, which has been fun.
Do you remember Card Scan? Did you ever run across that?
I, maybe jog
Eh,
my memory.
no, you're younger. You probably have never had to use one of these, huh? You ever have to dial a
I
phone?
do know what those are.
Old school, man.
I do. I do.
So Card Scan was cool, man. Back in the day, like literally 20 years ago. Um, it was a physical device, and you plugged it into your computer. And so when you go to like a trade show, you're networking, you get 10, 20, 50 business cards. You could scan it. It would scan the card, and then OCS, right? Optical character, or OCR, optical character recognition. And then create the database. You could import it into your address book or whatever. But then it would send an email out. And I still have in some of my contact record, I'll run across it every now and then, because it'll just add into the notes section every time you updated it, change jobs, change addresses or whatever. So it would, like, I think like annually it would send an email out, hey, I'm just updating my records. Um, and people were surprisingly, now again, it was 20 years ago,
Right.
before like things got so crazy, especially now with AI and cold email and stuff. It's just probably a little bit harder. But yeah, when you truly did meet somebody, because I mean, we exchanged business cards, as you did back then, and so people were a little more receptive to that. But is that kind of what you're banking on, though? It's like, we did have a relationship. This was a complex sale. Maybe we worked on it for weeks, even months. Um, and is it super simple for the client? Is it just, yes, I worked with Wes. Yes, we did this big deal. Yes, it closed in Q2,
Mhm.
2025. Is it just like that simple?
Uh, as simple as possible. That's my entire motto.
Right.
So the way that it will flow is, a sales rep closes a deal. Congratulations. And you have a good relationship with that customer, hopefully, right? And so you log into VeriDeal, you type in or it's going to be 3 to 5, um, questions, and then you type in the customer's profile, or email and company, which will not be disclosed to the public. It will then be sent in a CC email with the sales rep and the customer. So there's a three-way, and the customer just has 2 to 3 questions to answer, and it's right in
Mm-hmm.
the It's
Right.
extremely simple. That's the key.
Yeah. So how long have you been working on this?
The idea, about 18 months. We've been, my daughter was born Valentine's this year. 2 weeks later, I told my wife I'm going 100% in, and she said, "Let's do it." So we've been,
Mm.
yep.
Ooh. So you quit your day job?
No, no, no. So still
Oh,
working
okay.
the day job. Yeah, no,
All
still
right.
working the
All
day
right.
job. Nights, weekends,
Yeah.
I'm awake anyways. So my, might as well hold the baby and, you know, rock the baby while I'm working, right?
Saw this meme. It was, the young couple, and the wife's all exhausted. She says, "I'm so exhausted. I was up with the baby till 4 a.m." And he's like, "You really shouldn't be taking out the baby, being out that late. It's very irresponsible." It's like, but anyway, I
Yep.
get it. I got 7 of them, and I got 4 grandkids. It's crazy, but grandkids are easier. Um,
Get to hold them
so
and back.
So do you have any like beta clients, proof of concept? Because this is launching next month.
That's correct.
Um, so how are you verifying VeriDeal?
Yep. So we've been working with, I'd say a handful of people working the kinks out, understanding, what works, what doesn't, right? From the technical side, because it's still dealing with sensitive information,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
are waiting for closer to launch to start doing the more sensitive, uh, verification. But from the service level, talking with customers, talking with uh, sales reps and recruiters, managers, VPs. So it's been well received thus far.
Well, I could see recruiters, almost requiring this or bumping a candidate up higher on the food chain if
Hmm.
they've got something like this, uh, on their resume. Because there's a lot of creative writing in resumes,
Especially with
especially with AI.
especially with AI. Yep.
uh, People are
I
full of
mean,
crap, man.
it doesn't
Uh,
take you that long to take the job description, copy, paste it into ChatGPT, take your resume,
yeah,
paste that in, and then give me a resume that looks exactly hits all the keywords.
right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So why August 18th? Why'd you pick that day? How do you know you'll be ready?
Well, my partner Jason gave me August 15th, so launching on a Friday is not never that good. So I figured launch on a Monday.
All right.
Pretty simple.
So what has to be done? So you have basically 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yep.
Um, what's happening in these last few weeks?
Sure. So from my side, outreach, getting the word out, getting people understanding what and how this is useful. From the technical side, we are pretty much halfway, to the finish line of the final polished side of it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Jason's been working extremely hard because he also has a day job and 3 kids as well. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
but if you want something done, you gotta do it. And
Yeah.
that's the one lesson I've learned from this is if you just take action,
Right.
things happen, which is really fun to see.
So a lot of people listening to this are in your shoes, right? They're salespeople, they're entrepreneur, they're salespeople with an entrepreneur idea.
Hmm.
How do you balance both? How do you do that day job? I mean, we're doing this recording. It's 11 for me. I mean, we started 10:45 Pacific. Where are you? East Coast?
East Coast, so 2:30. Yep.
So how do you carve an hour out of your day to promote your side hustle?
Sure. So I took PTO today. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
We
it's
can't do
July.
that for every interview.
No, definitely not. So interviewing, I've been actually scheduling them for 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah.
Um, so the two older kids are asleep and the baby's halfway asleep. So I help with bedtime. But to any reps out there that are thinking about this, it's not easy. I mean, you're working your day job, you're hitting your quota, you're hitting your numbers. And then you take one step that night. You do one thing and then you do another thing the next night. It's all about consistency. And it's funny that you bring this up because, I would say for the past 2 years, ever since I really had this idea, I've always been hearing, especially like Tim Ferriss or anyone in those realms, right? Talk about you just have to take action. And I know Jocko's on a podcast tour right now, talking about just take action, whatever it is, just go. I will 100% say this without doubt. As long as you take one step every single day, things will just fall into place. You'll have a conversation with someone that you've never thought that would help, and then it did. So, my advice is do something tonight, and then tomorrow night, do something, even though it's July 4th. Maybe don't go out drinking and do something, or do it in the
Yeah.
morning and then do it, you know, July 5th at night. So that way your brain isn't too foggy.
Yeah.
Um, but do something every single day. Don't stop.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. People want to live a life, that nobody else has, but it means you got to start living your life in a way nobody does. At least the average people. Because you're right. It's said I got 7 kids, and seeing my wife, she's been a stay-at-home mom for 30 years, and um, owning a business is the closest thing men will ever know to childbirth. And rearing a child, not necessarily childbirth, but I mean, it is hard. It's stressful. I've lost sleep. I just, stay up till 2 a.m., wake up at 2 a.m. Like I can't go back to sleep and just start grinding. You're worried about stuff. And, so same thing. She's nursing children. They're, up with, she's tended to them, right? When they've got a fever and a throw up bug, and I've got to work the next day, and she's up at 2 a.m. So that ongoing worry and concern, um, you know, not everybody's cut out for it, right?
no,
It can be rough. So, and I've always told people, build up some those rainy day funds, right? Live below your means, so you have the option and the ability to jump on an opportunity and try it.
yep.
Um, have y'all hit your like timeline milestones? Like when y'all both said, okay, let's do this. Did you kind of map it out and say, okay, this is going to take 18 months? Or was it like, oh, let's just see where it goes and try to just get it done as quick as possible?
Yeah. So it's never been about as quick as possible, and we're not going to wait. I personally, from a sales side, I always want things done as soon as possible. But from the technical side and the security side, building something proper, it needs to take time. And so I asked Jason. Jason gave me a hard date. And so I said, that's the date that we're sticking with, August 15th. So I gave him 3 extra days because of the weekend, but that's it. And so the comforting thing that I do have is, he was former military. I'm former military. So when we have a date set in our mind, we're going to get things done. We're going to not sleep, and we're just going to make sure things are done properly as well. And we're not going to cut
Yeah.
corners. That's the biggest
Right.
thing. Yeah.
So is he local to you?
About 45 minutes away. So not
Okay.
too far. Yeah.
All right. So if y'all have to meet, you can.
I hop down there, see what,
Yeah. Interesting. And so do you have other developers, or is he just doing the whole thing?
just doing the whole thing.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
Very impressive person.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right. How is he stress testing this?
I wish I could go further into detail. I have full faith in what he's able to do.
All right.
Given his background, given his technical abilities.
Because like I said, I came from the test and measurement space, and it was interesting. Because when you think about it, when Google, back in the day, wants to turn up we were going from gigabit Ethernet to 10 gig to 400 gig and above. I think it's a long time now. I think I sold the first 100 gigabit Ethernet testing platform. Because when you turn up systems, you're like, can it handle it? Can these switches
Right.
handle it? And so, same thing with yours, right? You turn that thing on. Okay, we got an order. Does it work right? Do they go into our CRM? Does it trigger, set the right permissions? Are the tutorials correct? And I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
Sure. And so we're building 100% native on AWS. We both have understanding there. So we're doing serverless, and so that should be very helpful when it does
Yeah.
turn on, right?
Yeah.
It can turn up and turn down as fast as possible. And then all the other tools, he's building as well. So it does build and scale. Auto
Yeah.
scaling is number one criteria, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. All right. August 18th. We'll be watching. So it's VeriDeal. So it's VERI, right? DEAL, VeriDeal.io.
.io. That is correct. Yes.
And
So
why .io?
.com was taken. Unfortunately.
Jerks.
I know.
Jerks.
I know. Yeah.
That's fine.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, the website's up. Give a little bit of
Yeah.
description and then a little sign up page as well to be notified beforehand.
Stay in the know. Yep.
Yep, exactly.
Get home about how it works coming soon. All right. I like it.
All the fun stuff.
Log a deal, verify, deal verified, and more. Sounds good. All right. Did I miss anything?
No, I think once people log in and see what we're doing, I think they're going to
Right.
be have a little bit of fun as well because we're going to have a little competition, yearly competition, as most people are familiar with in sales. And so that's going to be fun. We're going to break that down into different markets. So that should be exciting when people start seeing that. And then, from the business standpoint, it's not only helping reps track their career progression, it's helping recruiters understand who they're poaching and hiring. And then it's going to help the hiring managers and the companies itself to understand, like, if I hire this person, if I hire this team, they're going to be A players, all six of them, all five of them.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
I like it. Well, good luck.
Thank you
Donny
very much.
Hackett,
Thank
all
you,
the way
Wes.
from the East Coast, man. Founder of VeriDeal. Thanks for
Appreciate
coming to the
it.
show. It was great catching up with you.
Thank you very much.
Go kiss those babies. Oh,
Will
and
do.
go sell something.